Today we're going to explore one facet of the God represented in the Bible. A set of attributes you may have heard before are the Omni attributes of God. The God of the Bible is described as omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. Often you'll hear these alongside the word eternal. These are attributes of God that describe His limitlessness. It's truly very difficult to wrap our minds around the eternal and omni attributes of God. We are limited by time, space, knowledge, and power. But He is uncontained and uncontainable. By nature, He is limitless, and there is no ability to limit Him. The problem, of course, is that we're so used to seeing the world through our limitations. We end up thinking of God as just an enhanced version of ourselves. Perhaps very, very old, very, very big, very, very knowledgeable, and very, very powerful. But that's not the claim of the Bible. He isn't a superhuman. Rather, He is completely removed from the limitations of time, space, knowledge, and power. To understand this better, we can observe our own limitations and then understand how God is not like us. Let's look at time first. The human experience of time involves a timeline. There's a start and an end. We exist within a subset of that limited time scale, with our own individual start and end. We move in only one direction through time. We are trapped in what we call half-dimensional time. We can only see our past, a bit like looking out from the back of a moving train. We don't know all of our past. We see dimly. Memories fade and merge into each other the further back we go. We can assume some of our future based on recent trends, but we're never quite sure. I assume I'll be alive tomorrow, still living in the same house with the same job, going to the meetings on my calendar. But actually, I can never be completely sure. And if we're honest with ourselves, the future is scary and overwhelming because we don't truly know what lies ahead, just around the corner. Sometimes we imagine God as an enhanced version of this. Maybe God is very, very old and has a really good memory, so He remembers things from the beginning of time, and maybe He has some ability to predict the future. And so we think that as God moves along time like us, He can see the past and the future. But that's not the claim of the Bible. That's not how God describes Himself. The Bible's claim is that God is separate from time, unbound by any timeline. He sees all time. Not only that, but He exists in all time at once. Jesus makes this claim: I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. In Isaiah, God declares, remember the former things, those of long ago. I am God and there is no other. I am God and there is none like me. I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand and I will do all that I please. If that doesn't confuse you yet, wait till we add a few more dimensions. Think about space. The human experience of the physical world is that we exist at some point in space. We can move between points in space, but we can only be at one place at a time. There are even places we cannot go. Now, as a limited being, I struggle to even comprehend the size of the universe, but I still sometimes try to think of God as an enhanced version of me occupying a lot of space, very big, perhaps having the ability to teleport between spaces. But the truth of the Bible is that God is outside the limitation of space. Solomon had this revelation when he was inaugurating the magnificent temple he'd spent years building. In his opening prayer, he says, "But will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, heaven and the highest heaven cannot contain you. How much less this house which I have built?" Or in Jeremiah, God says, "Can a man hide himself in hiding places so I do not see him, declares the Lord? Do I not fill the heavens and the earth, declares the Lord?" And in Proverbs, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, watching the evil and the good. Think about our knowledge. We now start to see the same pattern emerging. Think of this knowledge space. Here's all the knowledge I have, obviously not to scale. All the knowledge I will ever have. All knowledge that all humans will ever have. All knowledge that all animals and beings and even AI will have. And all knowledge that everyone could potentially have across all of time and space. And then outside of that is knowledge that's impossible for us to perceive. Is this where God's knowledge is defined? No. God exists outside the limitation of knowledge. Psalm 147 declares, "Great is our Lord and abundant in strength. His understanding is infinite." I love that declaration. There's no beating around the bush. His understanding is infinite. In other words, uncontained and uncontainable. We see the exact same pattern with power. Here's everything I have power to influence. Everything I will potentially be able to do. Everything all beings across time and space under ideal conditions will be able to have power over. And is God here just a very, very powerful being? No. God exists outside the limitation of power. We see this in Job. Then Job answered the Lord and said, "I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted." And God himself declares, "Even from eternity I am He, and there is none who can deliver out of my hand. I act, and who can reverse it?" And so here we are, moving along half-dimensional time, limited in knowledge and power, limited in space. And so when we think of God and ask the following questions, sometimes the best possible answer is simply yes. When is God? Yes. Where is God? Yes. What does God know? Yes. What can God do? Yes. But that doesn't really answer the question, does it? Of course not. Because the question itself is flawed. To ask the question, "Where is God?" implies that He is contained by physical space, but He is not. And so here is God, the uncontained, eternal, omni, limitless God who exists outside of all the limitations that we have.